proud that you all came out here. Give some big round of applause. You are true Americans. Thank you. America thanks you for standing up for freedom. And you know, we're living in America, but sometimes when I listen to this health system reform debate, I wonder if Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and President Obama remember that we actually live in America. What do you think? You know, America was built on freedom. It was based on power in the hands of individuals like you and responsibility in the hands of individuals like you. It was built on capitalism and entrepreneurship. That's right, but the way the Pelosi and Reid and Obama act, they act like we should build America based on power in the hands of elite bureaucrats, money in the hands of Congress, where individuals take a back seat to government. Do you think that's right for America? And it's funny, because this model has failed everywhere. The Soviet Union abandoned socialism. China has abandoned socialism. The East Bloc countries, when they gained their freedom from the USSR, embraced capitalism, and they're not going back to communism. And so why are we going down the road to socialism? Now, Mr. Obama and Congresswoman Pelosi and Harry Reid, they say we need to change the status quo. Well, what is the status quo? Well, the status quo is power in the hands of government, power in the hands of corporations getting special treatment in corporate welfare, and power out of your hands, and they want to change that, so they say. But we know they want to strengthen the status quo, they want to expand the status quo because they want all the power. That's what this is all about. And the status quo in healthcare has gotten us to where we are today. Right now, Medicare has all the monies and there is no escape. If you're a Medicare patient and you want to go see a doctor outside of Medicare, too bad. You gave your money to the government, you can't get a dime back if that doctor leaves Medicare. When you have an insurance company in Florida and you think you're paying too much, your status quo freedom says you may not buy an insurance plan from another state. That's the status quo, but Mr. Obama does not want to change that loss of your freedom. The status quo now says if you want a tax break for your health insurance, the only place you can get your tax break is a government-approved place, your employer. Mr. Obama and Congresswoman Pelosi think that you shouldn't get an individual tax break when you buy your insurance outside of your employer. Is that the kind of status quo you want to maintain? And that's why Americans are rising up all over. They're saying, change the status quo, give us back our freedom. Now, Mr. Obama thinks that it's all going to be sunshine and lollipops if we just pass his vision of healthcare reform. There will be no pre-existing conditions denying you coverage. Everyone will get healthcare for free. He doesn't tell you that in order to get that deal from the insurance companies, that you will be mandated to buy their policy that's government approved, and if you don't buy it, you get a 2.5% tax on your income. Does that sound like a change to the status quo to you? And he says, well, we're going to cover everyone. But what he doesn't say is we're going to break the bank. We're going to put a huge burden on your children and your grandchildren. We're going to borrow money from China. We're going to prevent worldly Bernanke bucks. We're going to drop them from helicopters to fund the whole thing. Does that sound like a change of the status quo to you? And he says we're going to cut costs. Well, who's he cutting costs for? He's cutting costs for the government and the insurance companies, and he's cutting costs by denying each and every one of you the medical care you expect and deserve by rationing your care. Does that sound like a change that you want? So Obama and his friend Zeke Emanuel, who's a doctor, a so-called bioethicist, who's a brother of Rahm Emanuel, he thinks that, thank you, Zeke. Dr. Zeke, do you hear what America thinks of your vision of healthcare? says people need to just kind of face reality when they're getting on in the years and maybe not have that knee replacement. And, you know, they don't need an extra 6 to 12 months of life. They don't need the best treatment for their prostate cancer. If they want it, they can pay for it themselves. Well, Mr. Zeke Emanuel has a vision for health insurance that covers the first $30,000 to $40,000 a year care. After that, well, you're on your own. Does that sound like any insurance policy you've ever bought? And Mr. Zeke Emanuel also says we're going to have a value-added tax. This is something I think you'll see creep in, just like in Europe. Everything you buy, from the clothes on your back, to the water you drink, to the house you live in, to the street you drive down, to the car, everything will have an additional tax on it to pay for the unfunded liabilities of government-run health care. So let's see, how will they ration? Well, they already created in the Porculus bill the Federal Coordinating Council on Comparative Effectiveness. 15 people, Dr. Emanuel's in charge of this group, thanks Zeke. Not a single actively practicing doctor on this panel of senior government officials deciding what they're going to pay for. And they say, oh, don't worry, we're just kind of learning what works and what doesn't work. Well, you know, if American medicine for the last 100 years is still trying to figure out the right time to do a hip replacement, do you think a bunch of bureaucrats are going to be able to figure it out? Absolutely not. And then the president wants to give power to 5 people. The Independent Medicare Advisory Council, IMAC, appointed by him, approved by the Senate, never elected, accountable to no one, kind of like the Federal Reserve. Kind of like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It's going to be Fannie Med, and they're going to ruin your health care. And we have the National Priorities Partnership. Well, they say that we're going to have to prioritize how we spend money. This is how they do it in Oregon in their priority list. Used to be if you had a brain injury. I'm a brain surgeon. I help people when they come in comas and try to help them get out of comas. I had a patient walk into my office, or call my office, and he's coming in this week, said he wants to thank me because 5 years later he woke up, all right, and he's happy now, he talks. That used to be the #1 way to spend money. It was #1 on the priority list, closed head injuries. You know where it is now? Number 101 after smoking cessation. That's number 6. So we're going to spend money to tell you not to eat, not to smoke, to do everything that we think is right to live in America. But when you get a brain injury, oh, we ran out of money. We're sorry about that. Can't you just face reality and kind of sail off into the sunset? That's the vision of our government. Now, I want you to remember some special interest groups. Obama's fond of saying all these Tea Party protesters, they're paid for by the insurance companies and big business. I don't know about you, I haven't seen a check from any insurance company, have you? Well, that's because they're spending $12 million promoting Obamacare. And I've got a message for Obama's supporters. You are being misled. The wool is being pulled over your eyes. Because those insurance companies have been in an unholy alliance with all the power players for the last 5 years to create the final solution, the September Compromise, an individual insurance mandate. You must buy their product or you will be taxed. Don't you think the insurance companies would like a mandate that they don't have to make you buy their product? The government will make you buy their product? Doesn't that sound like a good deal for them? So why would they give us money? They're running ads against us. Here's another group you can't trust. I'm sorry to say, the group that I belong to, and I'm trying to change their leadership and their policy. The American Medical Association is not to be listened to. Twice a year, and I try to change their leadership and their policy with a bunch of freedom fighters just like you. But they only represent 17% of actively practicing doctors. They spent $20 million spreading this myth about 47 million uninsured Americans when almost 10 million are not even Americans. Do you think you can trust them?